Welcome to the first, episode of Creative Community Conversation, of the Creative Community Conversation series that I am putting together here at LinkedIn. And my intention is to cultivate community with a focus on creative connection and, of course, transformation and all that kind of amazing stuff. So I'm here with Stephanie Harrison. And Stephanie is a product marketer as well as an author. And maybe you can introduce yourself, Steph.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here having this conversation with you, Todd. So I currently work in our product marketing team, helping to lead our product launches and ensure that those are successful. And then in my spare time, I do a lot of work in the field of well-being, specifically looking at well-being at work. I have a passion for where my science background in the study of happiness intersects with employee performance and workplace outcomes. And I love to talk to people about those concepts, coach people, speak about it. And I run a community called The New Happy, which is devoted to bringing people together who share a common belief that the best way to be happy is to find ways to be in service to others. And I'm really thrilled to be talking to you about all these incredibly compelling concepts today.
Wow, that is amazing. And I'm learning more as I talk to you because a lot of, obviously we see each other at work and we're often not working on the same project, although maybe a bigger project, but not on a day-to-day basis. But then, looking at what you've got listed on your LinkedIn profile and then your the New Happy newsletter that you write, it's amazing how much more we learn about each other through technology. It's amazing to use technology mindfully and in a way that can bring more joy to community, especially at work. So I've got 3 questions, and I don't actually have a lot of questions, but we'll just do 3 for today. But so my first question for you is, how do you see creativity as being essential at work?
It's such a great question because I think that I feel like any answer that I give about creativity has to come from my belief in the definition, and maybe we can wrap about your perspective on that too. I think that creativity is one of the things that makes us who we are as human beings, and that creativity stems from joy and from openness and from that internal drive we have as human beings to explore and that pursuit of uncharted territory. And I think that by focusing on creativity within ourselves and within our teams and within our work cultures, we're tapping into something incredibly powerful, which is the ability to innovate for a bigger purpose. And when we can come together and collaborate and bring disparate perspectives, that only makes us stronger. And so having the opportunity to work in a place where we have many diverse perspectives and many hard problems that we're trying to solve, I see creativity as being absolutely essential. We should just go home and if we don't cultivate it. We won't achieve our mission at LinkedIn without it, nor our vision, obviously. And the imperative of creativity is to, in my mind, bring out the treasures within each of us and use them in service of something bigger than us. So it has this really compelling way of connecting me or you or any given individual to something bigger than that individual.
Wow, that's awesome. I feel like you just gave an entire doctoral dissertation right there on creativity and wellness, especially at work. And I think you got some really good points. I think one of the things that I most resonate with here at LinkedIn is this focus that we have on compassion and creativity with regards to innovation and teams. And so how can we, get to learn more about what the human potential within the teams and cross business unit collaborations within the company, and then with our vendors and our partners, and then ultimately with our customers and all the users that are on the community members that are on LinkedIn.com. So I think to touch on your point about what is creativity, I think creativity is showing up.
Mm.
It is an aliveness that happens in the moment, and when we really tap into it, there's a quality of presence that is available to us that is undefined and not within the realm of time and space. Although the parameters of time and space are very useful for almost said channeling creativity, but maybe I'll tone that back and just say facilitating the flow and implementation of creative ideas. And for us in tech, that shows up as innovation. But really cultivating the awareness of creativity itself helps us to be more, I think, well-rounded, more to resonate better as a team, so that we can then innovate. I feel like innovation is a byproduct of really showing up and being present with creativity, and in particular in collaboration or in groups.
Totally.
So my next question for you is, how do you see, and this goes really well with the last one, but how do you see creativity and wellness being essential at work? And by that, I think would focus that to say the relationship of creativity and wellness.
I think that from my perspective, when I talk about wellness or well-being, my definition of that goes far beyond what I think a typical perspective on that might be, which is either physical well-being or even extending that maybe to emotional well-being. My perspective on true flourishing is that you are using your gifts to contribute to the world in a meaningful way that is generative both for you and for the people around you. So to be able to bring forth those treasures, as I described, is essential to flourishing, because we all have these amazing gifts inside of us, and to have a venue in which to bring them forward and to apply them and to be supported by people around us is absolutely essential to being a flourishing person. And so to your point though too, Todd, I think that there's another part of creativity, which is is as a way of being and the way that you show up, and that embodiment of presence that you talk about. Being present, I believe, is so essential to having a flourishing life, because we are, as you've often said to me, the present moment is all we have, and being there for it and showing up for it is another way of being creative. And I worry a lot of times about the people believing that they have to be either artistic or musical or something like that to be creative. And I couldn't disagree more. I really believe every person has creativity within them and has the gifts and those treasures inside of them. And my hope, and something that I'm personally hoping to work towards in my career, is creating workplaces that are absolute dream venues for bringing that out in people. And to me, the connection is so inextricable that you can't really talk about one without the other.
I totally agree, and I feel like you really summed it up really well. That creativity is essential, and that's the tagline of a lot of my emails. But I see it when you talk about flourishing, and I feel like this is aliveness. Like aliveness is essential. Aliveness at work is essential. It's essential to the wellness of a company. And I feel like what we do at LinkedIn, in particular, our focus in LinkedIn Talent Solutions, which is the business unit that you and I both work in, we really talk about like the whole self, and the whole your career is like I look at it as a living entity. You know, that the care and wellness for our careers and is essential to the wellness to our own wellness, and then the wellness of the company. And when we look at success, and we measure success, there's a lot of ways to measure success. Economic is the obvious one that is most often used, but really, how are people doing? How are they really doing? And that's key to retention. It's key to healthy collaboration and support within the team. And I feel like a lot of problems would be health concerns around the world would be significantly improved when we truly care for each other at work.
Absolutely.
when employees have the opportunity to care for each other at work. When I say that, I'm particularly saying that they can appreciate each other, that they have a safe environment by which to share what their challenges are, to talk about bias, all of the different forms of bias, and to talk about what they would like for their own career to flourish, and how does that fit in with the team. So often people feel like they don't have a voice at work. We're in a pretty amazing place where they really do listen. They ask us a lot, but this is not the case, and probably a lot of the people that are listening to this outside of LinkedIn do struggle with this on a regular basis. Of, can they bring their whole self to work? Can they really show up, and will it be received? And not just received, but supported. And so that is awesome. I feel like we could. I think there's more conversations to be had, and maybe a stage to be on at some point. But I will say that I have one more question, and the next question is, how does your work at LinkedIn inspire your New Happy newsletter and your kind of organization as a community?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I actually have LinkedIn to thank in a lot of ways for many of the opportunities that have been offered to me in my adult life, given that I've worked here for a number of years now. One of the opportunities that they enabled and supported me in was getting my master's degree in positive psychology while I was working full time, and a month after I had started a brand new role that was already a little bit of a risk to take on me. So the organizational support that I had to fly back and forth to Pennsylvania every month and to pursue 40 hours a week of schooling on top of my day job was incredible, and a real testament, I think, to LinkedIn and how they put their money where their mouth is, and in terms of supporting their employees' growth and development. And while I was getting my degree, I focused my study on what I tend to call the definitions of happiness, because I think that in Western cultures, we have been told a story that I believe is incorrect and harmful, which is that achievement and external gratifications are the route to happiness. So that leads a lot of people who are very well-meaning, who very much want to live happy, flourishing lives, to walk down a path that perhaps actually isn't a helpful or productive one. And having walked that path myself and realized several years after I would have preferred to have realized it, that it wasn't actually serving me, I was really curious in my degree to explore what a better way of being happy might be. And so that spawned my master's thesis and the book that I'm currently writing, which is all about proposing a new definition of happiness. And my shorthand for that is the New Happy. And this definition of happiness it's so related to what we've been talking about. It's the idea that true happiness comes from finding those gifts within you and then choosing a way to translate them to the world in a way that benefits other people. The research is absolutely clear that the fastest route to happiness is to help other people. And for me, I strive to live a life that's focused on giving and supporting others and contributing in a meaningful way. And it's one of the reasons why I work here. But it can be really hard to walk that path when you don't have a community around you and people who believe the same things and who have the same definition as you in a world that's really loud and insistent on telling us the opposite. And so my intention with creating a community around the New Happy is to build those connections between people so that they feel supported in that pursuit, and that we can hopefully co-create a better world where we are constantly focusing on what we can do for others. Because to me, the entire purpose of knowledge and experience and information and resources is to find a way to give those back to other people and to elevate them along the way. So the work that I do here at LinkedIn on helping job seekers to connect with economic opportunity is very meaningful for me, because I believe that what we are doing really matters, that having a new job can truly change your life. I know that to be true in my own life. And when I think about what LinkedIn has done for me and how they have supported me, I'm I'm usually moved to tears thinking about it because of the immense growth and opportunity that I've had in my life because of being fortunate enough to work here. And so for me, helping people to connect with opportunity is a way to give and a way to support and a way to contribute to society as a whole. And I think a lot of people at LinkedIn share that sentiment and belief, and one of the reasons why we have such engaged and happy employees. And so the two are really positively reinforcing of one another. I've learned a lot through coaching people at LinkedIn and learning from people's stories and collaborating with other like-minded individuals like you from my time here. And I'm hoping to actually kind of take this idea, which I piloted in my time at LinkedIn, and spread it beyond our office walls.
I think that's awesome. I think that you are really onto something great, because what I think is happening at LinkedIn internally is this opportunity to champion excellence with sharing authentic stories around career transformation. And that's true for the whole company. And it's definitely true for LinkedIn Talent Solutions. So when we look at, helping each other internally, and one of the main ways we do that is by being present with each other. That's one of the biggest things we can do to help each other, is to really show up, to listen, and to share insights and ask insightful questions in conversation. And that's true in meetings. In fact, I think a lot of meetings would be improved significantly if people would have more of a conversation rather than simply sharing out information. But that would require some meetings to be a little longer or to be completely restructured. But it's the meeting of people and where the presence can really show up and tap into to the creativity and the potential for new ideas. And one thing that I just want to share is one of the things I wrote about in my graduate dissertation. No, I didn't go that far. My graduate thesis. See, is my and I probably won't be getting a PhD. It's a lot of work, but I did get a master's degree that was, and I focused on the quality of emergence or the dynamic of emergence, and in particular, I'm interested in with creativity and community, where emergence, the dynamic of emergence is possible within times of emergency or urgency. I think emergence is like kind of just in there. So in the world of work, we have urgency all the time with different projects and deadlines and things like that. In tech, we have an urgency, and the emergency is not the right way to phrase this, but I'll edit some of this out. But we have it with regards to the pressure to innovate. And if we think about what is the meaning behind, or the purpose behind what we're doing as a company and the products that we're creating. So if we can identify that, then we can identify what the emergency is, or the urgency, the urgent moment that we're trying to, or the urgent area that we're trying to create something new for, or to redefine. So that quality of emergence that can show up, it shows up for me most often in conversation. The emergence shows up in the conversation. It's when we compassionately share what's going on with each other, in at work, at home, wherever, in community, in art studios, wherever it's happening. But we share that, we share what's going on, and then compassion unlocks the creativity that is then that's where the transformation happens. And that's where that quality of emergence, I think, really, I just really want to get that in there. Like,
it's beautiful.
I talk about it something, but I haven't really crafted it well to how to talk about emergence, but I feel like that's
beautiful. Yeah. I think it's a really apt description, because compassion is in part defined as the motivation to act. in a lot of contexts. So inherent in that is the next step into action. So I think you described it beautifully.
Thank you. I think if we show up for each other at work and show up for each other in our lives outside of work, then I think there's a lot of potential for transformation. And I do actually see we are in a time of emergency. We are in a time of crisis as a country with regards to what's happening with the environment, with what's happening with government and population and resources. But again, that crisis, that there's an opportunity in all of it for emergence, and we see it happening. We see it happening in a lot of different ways. So I think that there's more to explore with that, and to see how we as a company can serve as both like a Maven hub for people who are looking for more resources or support within their work or the community, but also to see how we can champion that through what we share on the platform, through what we share on LinkedIn.com with video, with audio, with text, and there's this amazing platform for transformation that's happening on a daily basis. And you've been doing that with your newsletter, and I definitely think you should have a podcast. It's not true that there are too many podcasts out there, because Spotify just bought Gimlet for like one point something or $230 million. And I remember when Gimlet started, with their the startup podcast, and just watching it grow. And to see, wow, he left Alex Bloomberg left This American Life to start his own thing, and now it's almost $250 billion.
Yeah, it's so. I think maybe that's in part a testament to what you're describing about people's drive to connect more intimately and to share in that presence, even if they're not there. It's kind of a unique construction in that way.
It is. I think these podcasts, a lot of them have the ability to make transformative stories, more accessible, in the sense that in some ways they feel a little more like people can relate to them. Like, there's something a little bit more personal, a little more accessible for when you hear somebody sharing a story about whatever, or a series of stories. So I think that's one of the reasons for me that podcasts are so powerful for transformation. You're wanting firsthand accounts of how something worked in somebody's life, or didn't work, and how that makes community more alive and more successful. All right, now I'm babbling.
No, but I want to say really quickly that I really appreciate your perspective on emergence, and I think that it's very hopeful. And I haven't heard anything articulated like that, where you talk about how the sometimes negative conditions can bring out optimal innovation or opportunities or ways of actually fixing things. And I really like that. It makes me feel very hopeful and very optimistic. So thank you for sharing it.
Well, thank you, Steph. And I really appreciate this opportunity to talk with you today.
Me too.
And on the first ever interview conversation, or maybe episode of, I don't know, of this Creative Community Conversation Series adventure. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hallelujah, we got change. Hallelujah, that we're not the same. Hallelujah, we got change. Hallelujah, that we're not the same.